Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the newest and best and most beautiful episode of the French Bishop's Chess Cast. Almost got it mixed up again. I am joined by our favorite New Yorker, National Master John MacArthur. My name is Rogan Joe Sloan, and today we'll be talking about all the fabulous fuck-ups of... Oh, there we go. We've fixed the problem. All the fabulous fuck-ups of FIDE and everything they've decided to do there to piss off Magnus, me, and my neighbor's cat. I don't know.
That about up the day, Rogan. That does about up the day. Ladies and gentlemen, Rogan Joe Sloan, a.k.a. Kingslayer Sloan on Twitch and YouTube, Kick, Twitter, yada, yada, yada. I am Master Chess Dojo on everything, all one word. I actually had to stop and rename my room for my personal assistant device to turn on all of the devices because it kept asking me if I wanted to watch MasterChef. And I said, this is not going to do every time I want to start a stream.
Yeah.
So therefore, I have to argue with my personal assistant on turning on the lights and the streaming software and everything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, today was quite the eventful day 2 of the FIDE Rapid. It was rounds 6 through 9. And by the time we hit the 9th round, everything had hit the fan. I somewhat watched in real time as
FIDE destroyed their only legitimacy in this world.
Yeah, as I saw it, I'll tell what I saw, and you might be able to tell how you saw it, or if you saw it in real time or not. I'm anxiously looking forward to seeing Magnus playing his good friend Aryan Tari. He was on time for the game because he hadn't left the hall, but apparently he was detained right before the game by an arbiter who had asked him, or who had fined him $200 for wearing jeans, basically. And I don't necessarily know where they get this arbitrary of $200 from, because these players have paid thousands upon thousands of dollars to fly to New York, stay in a hotel, or pay for accommodations, not to mention transportation to the tournament, plus the exorbitant food and eating options near the venue in the Wall Street area. It just seems ridiculous.
Oh. Tons of money.
And it's just incredible. So I know the pairings were up. He has a game to go to. He gets a warning. He's fined $200 for this. Apparently the terms of the warning are that he needs to change before he plays the next round.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly enough, because the pairings are up and there is no time between rounds, I would say there's probably of about 20 to 30 minutes max between rounds, depending on how early your previous game finishes. And if you're staying anywhere reasonable in Manhattan, you're not getting anywhere in Manhattan and back to the playing hall in 20 minutes. You're going to forfeit your game.
In the same hotel.
No, there's but they don't seem to change the rule for that. In this particular venue, there are no hotels downtown that are adjacent to the playing venue. I mean, you're going to have a 15-minute walk in one direction or another to a hotel, because the hotel, I know where that is. That's still at least a 15-minute walk. All of those hotels, there's nothing attached to this venue. And many of the players are commuting to the venue from staying with friends, either in the Village or on the Upper West Side or the Upper East Side, perhaps in Midtown, but I doubt anyone knows anyone who's actually staying in the Wall Street area. So to ask him to leave the venue and then come back for the next round is absurd. But before that very round was over, he's playing Aryan Tari, we know he's just gotten the warning. It is not really the next round. This is the same round that he got the warning in. It wasn't like they gave him the warning in the round previously.
Yeah.
And he decided to show up wearing jeans this time. No, they
and
gave
if you're
him
wearing
warning.
jeans,
and then before this game is over, they decided to give him the second penalty because he was playing Aryan Tari. And then they didn't pair him, which was round 8. And then they told him they weren't going to pair him for round 9, which would be the same thing as him trying to go home or go back to his hotel and change into jeans, he would literally be forfeiting a game to an opponent,
Yeah, and
which
even if he
bears
didn't,
different
right?
penalties.
And even if he did go back to his hotel, he's in jeans. I mean, the odds go up
Yeah,
significantly that if you're in jeans now, you don't actually have the things that you need to
right.
change into.
Oh yeah, my
I
back
mean,
pocket.
yeah, it's like, yeah, like if I'm in jeans now, the odds of me having the thing that I'm supposed to be in, allegedly, right?
Right.
Well, not allegedly, he's supposed to probably be in them. Like, what are the odds that he has the fucking things? He would have just worn them if he had them. Is my thought, right? It's not.
Right. And there was a conflicting report by FIDE on Instagram where they claimed that they had given Nepo a warning for sports shoes, which was the case for Anamaya in the World Cup, I believe, when she played. And she did change her shoes despite the fact that her shoes were not tennis shoes. They just had no sense of fashion or
Oh,
understanding
it
of what a
was horrendous.
casual
It was the
shoe
most
would look like.
arbitrary decision ever. I mean, there's
Right.
nothing
And
about that decision that made sense or had consistent internal logic.
but
Somebody
it
made a
started during
snap
that
decision
event
about what a
though.
sports shoe is.
But it started during that event because during that event and during our previous podcast where we
Yeah.
discussed Anamaya's shoe changing operation,
Mm.
he was wearing a T-shirt in that event.
Yeah. So they were
And
listening
they
to us,
should have
probably.
gotten him then, but because he can wear a T-shirt then for the
Yeah.
event, right?
Yeah.
And in this event, the actual thing for Nepo was not sports shoes, as their misreported Instagram theories / of what they did to Magnus Carlsen was all about.
Yeah.
It was because he was wearing a turtleneck with a sweater. He was wearing a sweater, which he changed to a jacket. So I'm not entirely sure if the FIDE, because I'd looked them up the last time
Yeah.
for Anamaya, but I believe it's a collared shirt or a jacket.
Oh, this
So it's
is.
possible that Magnus Carlsen had a jacket over his T-shirt, and that's how he was getting away with it. I don't know, but still,
I mean,
in
it's so
general,
silly. This is just.
it's so silly. But
FIDE
I'm
is
glad that
turning itself into like it's. FIDE has no challenges, and therefore FIDE is becoming a bureaucratic stupid.
they
It
have.
has no challenges, and therefore it thinks it's invincible. And
But
and
that's where freestyle chess comes in. Magnus Carlsen has been advocating for freestyle chess, and I believe he will actually organize his own professional players union to a certain extent. He might actually crush FIDE if he actually chose to organize now against them. They actually might have actually stirred up some competition, and he has
man,
tried to do it before, aka Chess 24 against
mm,
ICC at the time and Chess.com. I don't think, and maybe Lee Chess was in its infancy. I think Lee Chess came after, but I'm not entirely positive of the trajectory. But in general, if they're going to penalize somebody, they have to have some some
they have to go
awareness of
red
what event
line.
they're penalizing them in.
Yeah,
This is a rapid and blitz. Imagine if you had to go home in the middle of the blitz. You'd miss 2 rounds
yeah,
because you can't possibly get out of the venue anywhere in Manhattan in a hurry.
yeah.
Like waiting for a Lyft or an Uber or a car service.
That's
I'm
just
not
not
sure what we
happening. Like, there's no way you can make it work unless you got a helicopter.
Yeah,
I mean,
the wait time alone. Right, and even the walk to the heliport is
yeah,
15 minutes because there is a
yeah. I mean,
heliport within walking distance of 55 Wall Street.
like, even if you're a billionaire, you couldn't get this done. Like that's
Not
just it's a
without losing
silly.
a round anyway.
Yeah,
In this
honestly, yeah.
event.
So when Anamaya was fined or like penalized or talked to by the arbiter, we made the point that I think we made the point that if Anamaya was attacked for such a thing, then Magnus should be. Now let me change my position a little bit. Nobody should be being fined like this for this crap.
Exactly.
I mean, you should, they should politely ask that you wear the best of your ability, and they should treat you like an adult because you mostly are an adult, and they should have the right to talk to you and ask you to not. but they shouldn't have the right to go, here's, I don't know, make up in $200, and we're gonna penalize you for the same round, and we're not going to give you a viable chance to correct. It's such a silly thing. They need to get rid of these stupid rules, and they need to just read the room. Magnus Carlsen is the most popular, arguably the most entertaining and most popular player on the planet. You're doing no service to yourself. You've basically said we don't give a shit, and we're going to just poke you in the eye with random crap. And well, what have they done? They've deprived people of the most of the blitz portion of the Rapid and Blitz. They've basically, Ben Feingold, threw a fucking hissy fit when Magnus Carlsen, went out of the tournament against Hans because he was depriving someone else of an opportunity. FIDE has basically, in their stupidity, forced, well, no, he didn't really force Magnus to make the decision, but Magnus decided, well, if you're going to be that petty, I'll be that petty too. I mean, they've essentially done the same thing. They've deprived someone of the opportunity of playing Magnus. They've deprived the people who paid the tickets the opportunity to see Magnus. I mean, who else were they going to see? Erigaisi? No, they were not. Come on, let's be honest. I mean, it's really utter stupidness, utter silliness. I don't know. It's vague incompetence and overall arrogance, I think, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel for them, but it's just you're getting stuck between a rock and a hard place. At whatever moment, I thought that Vichy was going to do the right thing. He's the FIDE vice president. He actually wields a little bit of power. He could step in and say, look, it's not physically possible for Magnus to change in this particular event. So you're going to have to let him change on the next day for the most part, which is quite crazy.
Which is not even like a bad thing, is it? You're doing your job. You're enforcing a dress code by asking him. Like, it's not like he's going to be a dick and not turn up. Tomorrow he's going to turn up in booty shorts or something. No, he's going to probably go, fair cop, I probably did make the wrong fashion decision. And he's probably going to come in the appropriate things, having had a whole day or the rest of his night to figure out the dressing situation. And then everyone comes back, everyone's happy, the cameras are fine, nobody's seeing some inferior denim. I mean, it's jeans.
Right.
Like, everything is left to the imagination. It's, I don't know how to say this, but jeans are actually decently formal. It's not a crime. It's not indecent in any fashion. It's a silly bureaucratic mess they've made themselves into.
It's really sad overall, honestly. It's quite crazy.
I'm not saying they shouldn't have a dress code. I'm just saying, at least have some reasonable expectations, and don't make like arbitrary enforcement of a stupid decision. Like, I mean, if it's going to be arbitrarily enforced, then arbitrarily unenforce it. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to say we made a bad call. We were a little bit hasty. We're sorry. You don't have to pay the 200. You don't have to pay the 200. Just come back tomorrow with something different. And Magnus will be like, fair cop, probably shouldn't have done it. Will do. Thanks, boss.
That's exactly what he offered. That is exactly what he offered. But unfortunately, as it turns out, there was no compromise offered in this particular instance, which I felt. Now, I don't understand obviously you were right on the power trip, the power hungry, okay, we're going to enforce this thing and nip this thing in the bud right now, and you're the perfect person to nip it in the bud with.
Yeah.
But it's just absolutely crazy.
But he's really not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm not advocating that people who are more important should be treated different by the law, but what I'm trying to say is, how about we just don't be a dick about the dress code all the time? Like, it's like when somebody, it's like whenever a congressman or something makes a massive tax break for a big company to go into their district. I'm like, you could just make a tax break for all the small businesses. Like all of them,
Right.
you could just make a nice set line that's not too, like you can have consistent ruling without being a dick. I mean, it's that simple.
One
Just
would think that.
do not
Yes,
have
one would think
same
that.
round enforcement.
It's so crazy that they chose Magnus for this. But overall, it was a relatively good day for the other players. Eric Izzy is in full beast mode. I think he finished the day with 7 points by drawing with drawing a blank here. I believe it was Nordebeck. No. Well, I know that Grishik drew the other game when he was totally winning against Nordebeck. That was the one that I was watching. And Eric Izzy drew a game where he was completely worse against Duda. And Nakamura, more or less, Hikaru just jettisoned, unfortunately, to the young, very young star, Volodar Murzin, who we don't know much about. Ironically, he is the young Russian grandmaster playing under a FIDE flag. So you have two players in the top four at the end of 9 rounds with 7 points. Non or stateless players, Alexander Grishik and Volodar Murzin. And then you have John Christoph Duda and Arjun Arakaisi from India and Poland, respectively. Or not so respectively, because I think I said them in the other order. But
Yeah.
I was very proud of all of the play that I saw today. I just could not believe what I saw on the take stream as I was watching it. Interestingly enough, the FIDE broadcast did not start on time. I believe they were actually watching the entire warning taking place right before the Ariantari game.
Yeah.
I literally gave up on the FIDE broadcast for that particular round because, like, I look, actually, it was the round before that. I looked, and the games had started, and the FIDE wasn't covering the games. They were in the middle of their break / quick commercial.
Yeah, I mean,
not unlike chess.com has their breaks and their commercials.
It shows something, doesn't it? Like, correlation does not equal causation all the time, but FIDE consistently sucks at everything they do. Everything. There's not a thing that out of every single story involving FIDE, I don't think we've ever covered them making a good decision. Not once. Not once at all. I mean, now you could say, Rogan, you're just a biased person who only covers news that is sensational or big news, and that's usually bad. But
we did cover a good decision.
Well, when's this?
We did cover a good decision when I came back from the candidates. I thought it was a huge bonus to be able to see the women's candidates event right next to the men's candidates event. So you had twice the of games going, and you had twice the interest, and the women were actually playing the most decisive games while the men were always drawing with one decisive game. The women were beating the daylights out of each other and throwing patties. And I felt the same way a little bit in Singapore, because when I went to Singapore, you have one game that you're watching. And if that game has an off day, there is no backup system. Whereas if you had the women's and the men's at the same time, one of them will guarantee the audience some flavor, no matter what happens, even if it's error-filled flavor.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to see.
That is true. You want guaranteed excitement. Plus, it probably does make it's probably easier to do one big venue rather than two small ones. And then two separate commentary teams, like half as many wires
down
probably.
On the staffing, the expenses, the attention, and it increases the audience size.
You're right. That is a good decision from FIDE. Not choking on their own vomit is what I consider a good decision.
And the women weren't segregated from the men. It was like they had the board 1 women, board 1 men.
It was like the 21st century or something.
I know. It was quite incredible. I mean, of course, they had the disparity in the prize fund. The women got paid less.
Oh, come on.
As FIDE probably believes that they should.
I think Russia's still in the FIDE. I mean, let's let's not ask for too much. You know?
Yeah, but on the whole, it's quite incredible that they did make a good decision with the candidates, and it will probably be the only time that they combine the men and the women
Yeah,
for whatever reason. Only because I think Toronto bid for both the men and the women at one time. That's the only reason I think that the Toronto organization was so smart that they said, "Why don't we have both of them or none of them?" And FIDE said, "Oh, that sounds like a great idea. We'll take you."
yeah, that sounds like
I
two
don't
of our
necessarily
problems solved. Yeah,
exactly try and trying to go to two different events. I actually did not plan on attending this event on the whole because I already spent enough money going to Singapore, and I enjoyed
yeah.
my trip and all that. But in general, and we'll talk about that separately. But on the whole, this event in downtown Manhattan, I believe that a VIP day pass is 600. I'm not sure what the VIP day pass gets you. I know that
I mean, you'd hope there'd be
in
somewhere.
other events, it usually gives you a free food and a place to gather to watch the games and commentary
Yeah,
in a separate room rather than with the general public. But most people are able to walk around this event and look at
I
the
mean,
players
six
and
hundred
stand
dollars.
there.
You know,
Yes, and in this event, they were charging $65 per game. So basically, you'd have to leave at the end of the round. They basically cleared out the hall at the end of each round and let the new players in.
wow.
And so, unless you had a day pass wristband or something like that, then you have to
Yeah.
get out of the playing hall at
Well,
the end of each round.
I mean, that's a
And
little pricey still. I mean,
and for
I suppose.
tomorrow for 3 games, it's $300, I believe. For a day pass, $315. The women are not sold out. It was $315 for the day pass. I believe the men was slightly more expensive for the day pass. But of course, all those tickets are sold out. I put myself on a waiting list just in case. But actually, if they nudge me for the waiting list tickets, I'm not interested anymore because I would be going to see Magnus anyway, along with
Yeah,
everybody else who already bought the sold out tickets.
yeah. I
He's
mean,
the money guy. He's the reason why we buy tickets.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
He's
It's a
this
point.
close to retiring, and if you
Yeah,
don't watch him now,
like
that's
he's
it.
he's on a tightrope. He's at the top of the building. Don't shout like
Exactly. No, you do have to get there, and
get the police negotiator there, not like the. It's like
so
terrible.
there was. Did you watch any of the coverage at all, or did you get a chance to see some of the highlights, the recaps, or anything?
Oh, very very little, John. Like very
Well, I
very
definitely
little.
missed the first day.
I'm still
Of
catching up with the candidates, which happened before the World Championships, and I'm still digesting that. I wonder who's going
so
to be the new world champion.
So if you were a Magnus fan in this event, the Take broadcast was by far and above your stream to watch because they covered the Magnus game from beginning to end, and then shifted to other games. But they did not cover any of the women's events that I know of. I believe they may have gone to Ju and Jun toward the end of the day today. This is the end of the second day, that is. And the FIDE broadcast would finish with all of the games, be practically ready to show all of the men's standings, and then they would say, "Oh, wait, the women started 15 minutes after the men. Maybe some of their games are still going." And then they would go to watch one,
It's like, oops, we
perhaps
hit two
two.
events, right, guys?
Right. But they also only covered the women's event in the early stages of the second day, while Alice Lee, they really did follow Alice Lee when she was on an undefeated tear. And
Right.
then ultimately, Alice Lee lost to Zhu and Jun, perhaps. I'm trying to remember who she lost to. But needless to say, she ultimately lost. And then it was the Zhu and Jun show, which they didn't bother with on the whole. In fact, at
Right.
least
An
when they
established
showed Zhu
grade
and Jun,
too.
well, Zhu and Jun, I think in round 8 played Tan Zhangji, who is her future World Championship challenger this coming April, in the
Yeah.
World Championship match this coming April. And interestingly enough, the Take broadcast did not know who she was. Ju Wen-jun is playing somebody here. I'm sorry I didn't look at the participant list. And I'm looking at the person going, this is former women's world champion Tang Zhongji.
Yeah. It's like Ron
And
Henley.
you should
Like,
know who she is.
Around?
And even if you, exactly, even if you didn't know that she was a former women's world champion, you should know that this woman is the new challenger.
Yeah.
And at least Maurice Ashley, and I'm drawing a blank on his Russian co-commentator at this very moment. Forgive me, everyone. I apologize. No, it was Crestbook, the Crestbook fellow. I'm trying to remember. That's his Twitch stream handle, Crestbook. But basically, they were doing a terrific job. Maurice always does an exemplary, amazing job with whomever he's commentating with. So he immediately nails it. He tells the whole story like this is a real battle between the champion and the challenger. Yeah. And Ju Wen-jun tore Tan Zhongji to shreds, practically mating her on the back rank, just like dominating with the black pieces, no less. It was just like Zhongji refused to show any of her speed as a player, which I felt was rather unfortunate. Now, Jennifer Yu, of the American players worth watching besides Alice Lee, Jennifer Yu is having an okay performance in the middle of the field, former two-time U.S. women's champion.
Yeah.
And Carissa Yip is on board for tomorrow morning, playing an international master whom she should beat, interestingly enough. And so she's at 6 points, right behind the first place threesome. But Konaru, Ju Wen-jun, and Harika Dronovali are at 6.5 out of 9, with 3 rounds to go tomorrow, and it'll be quite entertaining. It'll be quite good.
Oh, it will be. I will actually tune in, but it usually does take me a couple of days to tune into a tournament. On the first day, I'm like, I don't want to watch that, and then the second day, I'm like, actually, that's pretty cool. I think I'll give it a look.
The absolute star of the show, though, was the president of the Vladimir Kramnik fan club, Daniel Dereditsky.
Oh,
he was practically 6-0, I believe, and he was the sole leader at the end of 6 rounds.
Yeah.
Before he ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw. I'm trying to recall who it was that he. I apologize, have all these standings up right in front of me, and I apologize. But basically, yeah.
No, it's all right. As long as you know who the challenger to the Women's World Championship is, you're good.
Exactly.
That's the baseline, okay?
He went. Oh, yeah, he lost to Duda, who is actually currently tied for the lead with 6.5. And Duda, of course, was behind him at the time that Duda beat Daniel Dereditsky. Daniel Dereditsky still has 6 points, by the way, out of 9 rounds. He had 6 out of 7.
Terrible. I wonder how he got stopped when they met into the building.
So he lost rounds 8 and round 9, apparently, I think, Dereditsky. Yeah. Well, actually, I think it was his third monitor at the board. His third monitor. That was turned off, actually. And and Vladimir always finds it suspicious when a monitor is in the room but turned off. Turned off is the real giveaway that screen is giving you information if that monitor is turned off.
If it was on, we would see what was on there, wouldn't we? Wouldn't
be
a mystery.
Because we can't see what's on the monitor. Obviously, he's getting moves from it. No, but needless to say, Eric Izey, I am rooting for him and his wholesomeness to survive tomorrow's onslaught of really good players. Right behind the fearsome threesome, of course, Abdu Satorov has 6 points. Nakamura inadvertently has 6 points, having lost. Oh, I take that back. Oh, I slipped. I apologize. 4 people have 7. I forgot that I was looking back 1 round. So 4 people have 7 out of 9. Merzin, Grishik, Duda, and Arakaisi. And we will see who survives tomorrow's 4 rounds. We have 10, 11, 12, and 13 tomorrow for the Rapid Championship. And I don't know if the playoffs are going to happen immediately afterwards, but I believe they are. And it's going to be quite the spectacle.
Sorry about all the microphone noise. I found a $1 coin on the ground, so I'm now incredibly rich, and will no longer be doing this. I know. I found my
I should
fortune.
send you my $2 Canadian coin.
Oh goodness, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
quite
doubling
incredible.
our economic growth there, John. You know,
Right?
Canadian dollar. That's almost as good as the
So Ray
US.
Robson is playing Fabiano Caruana tomorrow in the Battle of Americans. Hikaru Nakamura has unfortunately fallen back a little bit to the 6 points out of 9, as it turns out. So let's see, where did Naroditsky end up? Does he still have 6? Pragnanda has 6 out of 9. Naroditsky has 6.5 out of 9. That's what made it suspect to me that I was looking at. Naroditsky should have had more than 6 points, since he had 6 out of 7, and there were 9 rounds today. So he is at 6.5 playing Anish Giri. And I believe that Naroditsky will take care of Anish Giri with the black pieces and a King's Indian. Or Anish Giri will avoid the King's Indian entirely in some fashion or another. But I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll be able to do this again tomorrow with a results-oriented, specific search. Oh, Brandon Jacobson is playing Nakamura in an All-American battle.
Always fun.
I'm sure they're going to be happy about that. The only thing that can make it better was if Brandon Jacobson was playing Daniel Naroditsky.
Yeah, I don't know.
Brandon has white, so will we see A4 and Rook A3?
Well, as president of the Nakamura Hate Club, I wonder who. It's anybody's. It's anybody's game. Anybody can win.
I have a 100% score against Brandon Jacobson in over-the-board classical chess. So I'm going to be able to keep that for some time to come, because we don't play in the same events anymore.
Oh well, hey,
but
it's
needless
a very
to say,
good record,
it's
John,
been an overall good day. I think that this event is worth watching. If I had two streams to recommend, it would definitely be first and foremost the FIDE broadcast that does a reasonable job of going from game to game to game, often showing the players on 4 boards at a time, including one of the women's boards among those 4. The top women's board, they at least usually show the 2 players playing, even if they don't get to it.
I don't think we can really say that FIDE, it does a right job. Like
no, but it's the FIDE broadcasters that are doing the right job.
No.
Every time they go on
FIDE.
their 20-minute break between rounds, I go back to the take broadcast.
Right.
And the only reason that I might duck out of that one is because I can watch Levy's interviews with the players later. I want to watch the games in real time. I find it absolutely offensive that you have these interviews with the players during the event on stream while you could be watching games that are producing results.
Right.
I feel like they should conduct those interviews, and they should show those interviews when the games have stopped.
Yeah.
Not during the playing time. As much as I love Levy, and he does do a great job with his interviews, it's not working, honestly.
As much as we love Levy, yep. Yeah.
He talked about a Nakamura broadcast, a stream where he said something. I forget what the clickbait was. Magnus did this, right? And then Levy said he watched the whole Hikaru video, and Hikaru never once referred to what was in the stream title. He got completely clickbaited. It's like, at least when I put Magnus in there, I get Magnus into the streams.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, with Magnus leaving the tournament like this, I mean, the title is going to be something like Magnus quits chess. I mean, or something. It'll be like that. I promise you, it'll be some clickbaity title like that. So Magnus has basically paid a second mortgage to.
I'm glad you just got the podcast title, Magnus Quits Chess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If we can't beat them, join them. That's what I say, John. Yeah,
absolutely. I can't believe that we missed out on that.
Yeah.
Magnus quits chess. But as it turns out, it won't be long before he stops playing for FIDE entirely, as Garry Kasparov had that wise idea in 1993 when he left FIDE. They were
Yeah.
doing such an incompetent job, and they took such a cut out of the World Championship prize fund for their administrative. I don't know if it was 60% of whatever was being offered. And it left the players with like $800,000 to split between the two players, which was far less than the million that they had, at least for the winner previously, which was insane. And
Mm.
honestly, I understood FIDE's point of view, because the players in Russia, at least in the old days, and I'm not sure, we've mentioned it in a previous podcast, I'm not
Yeah.
sure how the Chinese players take home their pay, but the
Yeah.
federation and the government usually takes the whole thing and is giving them a salary for existing on average. In the old Soviet Union, that was the way it was. All the
Yeah.
Russian players had to fork over all of their monies to the government, and then the money, and the government would give them a salary out of an account based on them just basically being good.
How generous of them, you know? I mean,
Yep.
how nice of
So
the Soviet
aside
Union.
from other FIDE faux pas, I think that they are, and they have earned another grandmaster norm of incompetence with this decision. There should
Oh,
have been room for compromise given this event
yeah.
and the sponsors, right? You have sponsors for this event that sponsored this tournament in downtown Manhattan because of Magnus.
You have a fiduciary responsibility to not
Not
destroy
destroy
the
it.
talent.
Yeah. It is the talent it's really about the game itself. And the game itself, the quality of the play, the excitement of the play, the drama of
Mm.
Magnus losing as he usually does early on, and
Yeah.
then coming back and tying for first at worst, is what we're all there for. I can't believe that they robbed us of this moment
No, I
by
think it's a
not
symptom
having
of
any common sense whatsoever.
it's a symptom, I
I'm
think, of an evolving problem. It's I think FIDE is slowly becoming, I mean, a worse version of themselves, and where random arbiters starting to just like finding ill-defined rules and defining, and arbitrarily using them, and the most destructive and needless way possible. I mean, for
Yeah, it's
everyone that
unfortunate.
we know of, there's been probably been hundreds of small fines for wearing what they would define as a sports shoe or something like that. It's
Right.
utterly silly, and it's not just in high class tournaments in which Magnus would be. It's seemingly in every place you could find it. There'll be a decision in which they'll find someone for some amount of money over an ill-defined rule for ill-defined reasoning, and there's been absolutely no compromise between when they give the warning and when they execute the punishment for doing it. I mean, in my personal opinion, it's because FIDE has no competition. They've got nobody to keep them honest in a competitive marketplace, and they're
And
becoming
it's sad.
bureaucratic, somewhat self-obsessed, probably in some sort of way. They probably think they have every single right to be a jackass, and they will continue to do it until somebody says no, and somebody hurts them financially for doing so. I mean,
I've
that's the
been
most way I could say that every single part of that decision was silly. There was not a well-intentioned part of that. I mean, yes, you can have dress rules, but no, you don't find the main talent $200 and give them a stupid time frame to change their behavior. It's utterly silly. It was You can only say it's silly so many times. Like it's an utterly senseless move that has no commercial value. I mean, like you said, people paid horrific amounts of money to see the best player on planet Earth, and then some arbiter was like, "Oh no, sorry, you can't have genes. The genes, for God's sake,
Right.
they're not." I mean, I don't know a
I'm
more
gonna.
conservative dress in my life. I mean, jeans. It's
I'm
like
gonna.
saying
I'm
it's
gonna.
oh,
I know. I'm gonna actually bring our podcast to a close with Magnus's
cool.
own words on his dress code.
It's okay. Like they can enforce their rules. That's fine by me. And my response is that fine. Then I'm out. Like fuck you.
I mean,
That pretty much it up.
it is.
He's literally out. I believe he literally is completely out. Like, this was his pride and joy. There are two things Magnus loves playing in chess that remain clear. That is rapid and blitz. And if you F with him, then that's it. He's not going to have anything to do with you anymore. And I don't blame him. Don't blame him at all.
There's an echo on this.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I think I killed it.
I mean, look, you've basically taken a person who had very little faith in the system and had very little faith in that the system will change in a way that'll make him want to play chess again. I mean, the guy literally won't play the World Championship because he doesn't like the format. So what you do to that guy is find the one thing he does want to play, and then flick him in the face with this thing you can find. You let some bald fella, like some bald, self-important arbiter guy. Nothing against arbiters or people who are bald, but it just happens to be the combination of the arbiter who did it. You know, like I mean, you found the one guy who could literally destroy your business model if you put enough time into it. And not only did you catch him with something that's justifiable. Like if Magnus went and punched the cameraman and then picked up a glass of orange juice and threw it at Ju Wanjan or something, like that would be excusable to absolutely throw the book at him. But what he did was wear jeans.
Was put on jeans that day.
He put on jeans. I mean, and knowing Magnus Carlsen, how much money that guy has, they weren't bad jeans. They were.
No, they were really nice jeans, actually, from what I understand. I think they were very expensive jeans. He can afford to buy good clothes, and he can also afford to play elsewhere.
If I'm being honest, the jeans probably cost more than the whole FIDE stream. I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I think they just lost a tremendous amount of revenue. I almost guarantee you that they lost the sponsor of this event. I believe that they lost the sponsor of this event, except for the fact that the organization is part of the oligarchy of Russia. Whatever this organization that sponsored this is a Manhattan-based affiliate of several wealthy Russian. And they're all very great. They're all good guys. Their intention, the sponsors of this event here in Manhattan, was to bring Magnus Carlsen to the general public, to have everybody have an opportunity to see the stars of chess in their best element.
I mean, the whole point of its sponsor is they're giving you the money to play chess. I mean, there's like, I mean, there's very few bad sponsors. Like, I mean,
it's crazy. In any event, Rogan, more tomorrow. It's been a lovely event at the amazing prowess of the FIDE business model, aka
you can't really call it a business
the International Federation of Dresses of Fashion.
Yeah, no, I mean, what else are we going to do but talk about fashion-related chess stuff? I mean,
right. In any event, this was John MacArthur, a.k.a. Master Chess Dojo, hoping that everyone enjoys the live commentary of the Take broadcast tomorrow without Magnus Carlsen being in it. and the excitement of the final rounds, as brought to you by Grandmaster Maurice Ashley on the FIDE broadcast. And I believe that the B team on Chess 24 was also in place, but I can't remember who was there.
Ah, yes.
But needless to say, but all of their commentators are playing in the event. Maybe Robert Hess will be commentating tomorrow because it's Saturday and he will not be at his day job.
It's not a school
perhaps.
night.
It's not a school night, exactly. Because tomorrow is Saturday, and we will have this out tomorrow morning, hopefully. Crossing my fingers, we're going to expedite this. And thanks, everyone. Rogan, I'm going to let you say goodnight.
Well, good night, everybody.
I'm not going to let you say goodnight. I'm going to pass it over to you. I apologize.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Sorry that we have not been, doing any podcasts. It's a hard business to to get New York and New Zealand at a reasonable hour, while
Plus,
John
it's the most
MacArthur has a
wonderful
life.
time of the year.
Yeah,
It's the most wonderful time of the year with the holidays.
Oh, it is. Like John MacArthur has a life
Between Thanksgiving, relatives, World Championship,
illness,
time zone
sickness.
exhaustion. The inherent sicknesses of being around kids as a teacher, etc., and exhaustion. And in any event, thanks everyone. Please sub to the YouTube or catch us on Spotify, audible.com. What else do we have there?
In the street, I don't know. Like
Podcast Addict. I believe Podcast Addict also probably has us. But needless to say, thanks everyone. Cheers and ciao.
Ciao.